In this video today, I wanted to look at another great use case for Python, and more specifically, creating QR codes with Python, with the really quite efficient QR code library. So I'm not going to go and type this out. I want to leave this open as is so that I can go and look at how sort of certain elements vary and why this is important and sort of within the object, and also when we're actually creating that QR image, how certain elements sort of differentiate and contribute to different functionality or design. So QR codes are really interesting. Obviously, they were sort of brought into the limelight with COVID, things like check-ins, but there's something that's not new at all in terms of the age of sort of personal computers and the internet. They sort of stretch back quite far. So QR codes were actually developed in 1994 by engineers or subsidiaries of Toyota, the Toyota Motor Group, of course, being where a lot of sort of innovation and development around cars and automobiles has taken place. Of course, Kaizen, the working methodology, came from Toyota, the Toyota Way. So QR codes are very interesting. There's a lot of things you can do. Previously, I've used them to track parts within inventory, so they're sort of forefront in a lot of performance improvement projects. They're also handy. I saw a suggestion for business cards, which is very good, directing people to your website, directing people to, in presentations and things, or even in your dashboards or data projects, to sort of surveys, to supporting material, documentation, different areas, and so on. So it's important that we know how to create these. And in Python, it's really helpful because we have the QR code library, as I said, and here we've got within about 10 actual lines of code, disregarding comments, we can create a QR code that directs people to my website in this instance, but it could be lots of different places. It could just be a piece of information if you wanted. It doesn't have to be a website. So from a high level, the steps, if you haven't installed the QR code library, you can do that using pip. If you're using Windows, within your command prompt, CMD, or if you're using Mac, within the terminal, and then you would just need to import it into the script that we're actually using. And from here, what we do is we establish a QR object. We need to do this. I've just renamed that variable as QR object, and then the code that we actually need is QR code to actually create that specific object. The version controls the matrix size. We'll play around with that. This here, error correction, again, controls the tolerance that we allow for error correction. I would always suggest to use this error_correct_L, which gives us up to 15% error correction. Probably the best sort of fail-safe that we could employ here. The box size controls the amount of pixels within each box. Obviously, these QR codes are made up of boxes, and we'll look into this. And the border is just the box thickness, and with the default or minimum value being 4. Next, we actually go ahead. Now that we have this object defined, we've given it the QR object variable. Sequentially, we pass through, and we now use the add data function here to provide some data. So like I say, it could be information, but a really common way you'll see this is with a URL. So here I'll just put my website. And then here we're actually going to make the QR code. So we take the object variable, and we're now going to make the QR code. And if we select fit equal to true, all that does, as per my comment, is ensures the full dimension is utilized. And then we're going to convert the QR object into an image. So naturally you can choose what you want that image to be. You see in the next step I've got PNG, it could be JPEG, whatever you like. But here we can also specify the foreground and background color here as parameters. And I've supplied a hex code, but we'll look at other options because I just like that color, jade green on the black background. And now we can save the QR code to a preferred image file extension. QRTest.png. And what's great, even when you save this locally, if you've got your phone, you can actually use your camera and it will give you the option to go ahead and navigate to, in my case, the website. In your case, it could be whatever you like. Or if you want to take the knowledge here and propel it forward, you can actually look into the Python OpenCV library, and by using the CV2 package, you could go ahead and actually read this and read the information using a Python script also. But we're just looking at creating these right now. So let's see first of all what happens when I run this. So when I run this, it will run successfully, and you can see here within my working directory or folder, this would also be represented in the same folder in your file explorer. You get the QRTest PNG, and as we can see here, we get the green, jade green with the black background. Of course, I'm using dark mode, so it might look slightly different than you, but I could also change the fill color here to, let's say, we could say take away our hex and just say yellow. And if we run this now, it will automatically override the previous QRTest image, and we get that quite horrific sort of building site warning tape yellow. There, again, another option we could have is cyan potentially. So again, we'll run this, and we get the slightly, very slightly nicer but still jarring blue there. I'll get rid of the output. So like I said, the version controls the matrix size. I believe it goes up to something like 40, so if we were to say 20 here, we could do that, and we get that really zoomed out version there. Or we could say 1, and that will be a lot more similar to the usual sort of format of the QR code that you would potentially be used to seeing. We don't need to play around with the error correct. The box size, again, this controls the pixels in each box. So if I was a way to say 5, run this again, and click QRTest, it will start to look slightly different. So they're the sort of core components, and the border box thickness, the minimum's 4. If we were just to say 10 here and run, you can see how things start to change. So there we go. But I will just stick with the natural 4 here. And yeah, we can leave it at that for now. As you can see, I'll choose to link to my website, mattersoftware.me. Fit equals true. We've played around with the fill color and the background color black, and we've saved this. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a PNG. It could be a JPEG here. We've also got the PNG, and that would be absolutely fine. So that is essentially the core components that you require to create a QR code within Python. If you do want to look at the script, pause here. Feel free to replicate it. There are some other things that you could potentially look into. You can actually incorporate your own logo into this QR code, or alternatively, you could go ahead, like I said, and actually read this using the Python OpenCV library with CV2, or alternatively, you could just use your camera on your phone. But you could look at how you could further integrate this into either Python applications. You could take the image, integrate it into slides, see how that works, integrate it into websites, business cards, dashboards, maybe leading into sort of product specification. That'd be quite a good way to do it. And there really is unlimited uses for QR codes. So it's another great real world practical Python project, but it's something that there's a good chance, if you work within data programming technology, there's something that there may be a real desire for you to use in the future. And it's quite a simple task, and it's very satisfying when you can start to link different sort of reports, websites, data information together. So play around with it, and as usual, if you like the content, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share.